Good morning, Laura Dempsey.
Good morning.
I'm here, Hillary Sepulveda Brown, with Laura Dempsey, and we're here to talk about your chapter in Know Your Worth, Goddess.
Thank you.
So exciting. So, Laura, tell me just a little bit about yourself and your journey on worthiness.
Well, I guess I was 14 when I first started to really struggle with my mood and my identity in this world, and didn't really know what all that was about until actually a couple of years ago. So I'm 42 now. So it's been a long journey. What I realize now is that I idolized my mother, and although she's an amazing woman, I'm just not like her. So I was constantly failing and not good enough, and didn't realize that that was going on internally in my brain, that I was talking to myself that way. So yeah, and I think even in the chapter I talk about childhood experiences, and how even way back when I was 6 years old, that an incident with my neighbor, my mom was upset with me because I bit the neighbor. And
As all kids.
I'll tell the story so that I wanted to go home, and he didn't want me to go home, and he was blocking me. He was blocking me from going up the stairs. And I said, if you don't let me go by, I'm going to bite you. And he wouldn't let me go. So I bit him. And I went inside. I just wanted to go inside. I was 6. And then the neighbor's mom called my mom, and I got in big trouble. And she said, you're going to go apologize. And I didn't want to. I didn't think that, I thought I was protecting myself. And she made me sit outside on the back porch. And so in that experience, I was unworthy of being heard. I was unworthy of having feelings. I was unworthy of having my needs met. So yeah, so that's kind of how it starts, and then it spiraled. And yeah, it took a long time, and I still actually struggle quite significantly with my worthiness. But part of this book is stepping into that power, into the healing, and to know that I may not fully feel worthy, but that by writing this book, I'm showing myself that I am at some level.
I love that, Laura. I love that you are honoring yourself enough to see your worthiness by writing the book. That's just hats off to you for sure. And so I know that a lot of people struggle with that, right? We don't even recognize that those commands of our unworthiness were put in place at such a young age. And for you, knowing that and being able to see that, what tips could you give someone else struggling with their own self-worth today that can relate to not being heard?
I think like the first step is really identifying what the thoughts are and what areas you're not feeling worthy. Really, it all sums up to, most limiting beliefs all sum down to not being worthy of something. And so I think the main thing is first identifying what the beliefs are and where they come from, because that's going to really help you understand that it's something real. It's something that's taking place, and there's a reason for it. And for a lot of people, I think that helps, is knowing where it comes from. So there's that. And then once you are able to identify the beliefs, it's good to look at ways to release them. And so the best way to do that is trauma work. But if you're not prepared to do that, or you're not really wanting to work with anyone around that, then there's lots of ways of releasing them. You can write them down and burn them. You can meditate and affirm new beliefs. And it's really about practicing to reprogram.
I love that. I love that, Laura. Practice makes perfect, right?
Yes.
And so I love all these tips that you're giving for people, And my question, I guess, would be, these are all so wonderful, the trauma work and writing down those beliefs and burning them in the moment for, let's say, a mom in
Mhm.
the moment of, chaotic children. I know you have kids as well, as do I. In that moment of being a mom and feeling unworthy, whether it's running around and feeling like we don't have enough time, or the balancing of our homes and our businesses, what do you do when that, feeling of not having enough worth sneaks up on you in the middle of the day where you aren't able?
Mhm.
You
Yeah, so normally when emotions bubble up, and for me, it's often anger. And so it's just kind of pausing and saying, oh, something's not in alignment here. And maybe not identifying it right away, but knowing what some different tools are that work for you that are quick. Um, so for moms, and or if you're at work or things where it's hard to get away, everybody gets to go to the washroom. So I think that that's a really quick, easy thing to say. I need to go to the washroom, and you go to the washroom and you turn the water on and do some dynamic breathing, in and out. If it's just closing your eyes and just centering, um, taking that moment to really be compassionate towards yourself, talk nicely towards yourself, and just say you're good enough, and you're doing well, and you're doing your best, and that's all that matters, is when you live from a place of love in your heart. So I know that's easier said than done, but honestly, that's the quickest way for me is to just go to the bathroom.
so let's just go there right now. So you're in the washroom, you've got kids knocking at the bathroom door outside, and you're
Yeah.
just overwhelmed. You go in, you turn on the water, and what do you say?
Well, normally I have to start to neutralize the emotion. And so if I'm in a space where my brain will function, then I'll start by saying, okay, this is just a moment in time.
Okay.
It's not lasting forever. This is just a moment in time. It's going to pass, just like every other moment that is tough. If I can't even get there where I'm so angry, then I just will go into breathing. And then that way it focuses on my body. And
Hmm.
then sometimes I do get a little, you get a little bit, depending the type of breathing, you can get a little bit lightheaded too. So just be careful. But then it's like something you probably know about it than I do, but it's something within the central nervous system that starts to regulate things and then gets you out of that fight response and back into a more neutral response where your brain can then function a little more clearly, and then you can talk to yourself in a more rational way.
I love this. I love this. I do something similar. I say to myself, not so often anymore now that my children are grown and living this work every day, but one of the tools that I do and I say a lot is, I am not this situation, or I am not this argument, I am not this person. And although it is an affirmation in the negative, it's just a reminder that everything that's outside of us is not really who we are, right? And our worth is
Yeah.
inside. And I love that you're bringing that back through breath,
Hmm.
positive
Yeah.
affirmations around
Hmm.
your work.
Yeah. I say similar to, sometimes I say I'm not my thoughts, because that's where I get tangled up in a web, is the thought and the spiral downwards, and then it gets worse and worse, like the thoughts get worse and worse. So yes, sometimes that helps as well.
So great to be talking to you and just hear this. And so also, I just was thinking as you were talking and knowing that you're a mom, and as am I, what is something that you feel we can do for our own children's self-worth? Around, because we can use the tools as moms and adults, but do you feel that in this work of your own self-worthiness, which is really, as you said, a daily masterclass, it's not, something that we're just always feeling really high up on our worth, right? What would you say to children, even teenagers now, that look for their worth from the outside? How many likes they've gotten, how many people have watched their TikTok videos, and that type of thing. What would you say to them about their own self worth?
Yeah. So with my girls, they're 5, 7, and 10.
Mhm.
And so all different stages. And I observe them getting into their head often, um, based on various circumstances with either myself or their sisters, because we're in lockdown still. Um, and so normally for them, I just, right now, it's really about trying to get them to learn about what their body is saying to them, and to read those cues. And each child is so different. So it's hard to help them navigate through that. But it's almost just sitting with them and holding space for them and trying not to fix them. That was a big thing for me, is always my mom always trying to fix me, and by that saying that I was broken.
Right.
But in their worth, in their like teaching them about their worthiness, a lot of the time I just get them to affirm too, but from a place in their heart, after we've worked through a situation, that they're proud of themselves and that they love themselves. And that talk, that self-talk, um, about how they handled the situation and how proud I am, but really getting them to say those things as well, and to feel those things.
It's so huge, right? I mean, what you said, my brain is, phew, and even though I have children, I've been at fault for that, where we make them wrong because we feel our view or society's view on how to do things is right. And when we realize that there are more than one way to accomplish goals in life and stop making our children wrong, I guess they really do start feeling worthy, right?
Mhm. Yeah, it's a fine balance, like it's a balancing act, because for instance, my 5-year-old, she's very good at feeling her emotions, but it comes out like, I am angry. And then she starts yelling, and it's like not trying to take those emotions away from her. So the language around that, saying it's okay to be angry. That's perfectly normal. And let's try to look at a different way to express our anger, so that it's not like, stop being angry. How can you stop making yourself be angry? It's like, feel the anger, but, and it's just so, yeah, it's parenting. And I think for me, like, that you didn't ask this, but for me, the thing is in terms of the mother's worthiness, is just knowing you're doing your best. And that at some point they're going to figure out their own way and what works for them. And I screw up all the time. And it's just a matter of even telling them, look, this situation, I was frustrated dealing with parenting, but it's not because of you. You
Right.
guys are not the cause of what's going on inside of me. Mommy's this type of person that needs this. And if I don't get it, then this is what happens.
Hmm.
And so apologizing and explaining what's going on in my own self, and then talking nicely about myself. So just really modeling self-worth as well.
Thank you so much, Laura, for sharing that. And when you said that, you mentioned cause, that they're not the cause of whatever emotion that arises up in the way of your worthiness. And, cause is something that I know we're friends. And so we talk about a lot. And how would you see what is the cause for self, right? Because we can't judge anyone else outside of their worthiness and how their worthiness comes in. But for you, what would you say is the greatest cause of your self worth? Where do you find that?
So honestly, I would say that it's through the difficult moments and the challenges that I've had in my life, and overcoming them and learning from them and growing as a person, and being proud of that, and seeing myself in a different light as I've worked through that. We all have trauma. We all have it.
We do.
And we all have limiting beliefs.
Hmm.
And we all have the power to reprogram them and to see our worth. And that's why it was really important that even though I'm still on this journey and discovering my real worth and really fully feeling that in my heart, that I see the shift happening. And so I think it's really important to share this work so that other women know that they're not alone and that it is possible to love and accept themselves and feel worthy.
Thank you, Laura. Thank you so much for sharing and being here with me today and leaving us with that it is possible to overcome our trauma and regain our self-worth, and not just that, but to feel worthy in our own skin all the time. Laura, you're such a master at this. And how can everybody get a hold of you that's watching this video today?
I can be found on Facebook, Laura Dempsey, and website will be up probably in about a month, and it's True Transformative Healing.
Transformativehealing.com.
Yeah.
Laura Dempsey, thank you so much for joining today in the Everyday Goddess Revolution and Know Your Worth Goddess book. I'm so excited to read your chapter, and thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you. Thank you. It's an honor. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.